We are live.
Yay! We made it through another weekend. Uh, Today we're going to do something a little different because it's a short chapter. We're going to go ahead and discuss how our weekend was. Um, Mine wasn't a good weekend. I skipped book club so I could get up early Saturday to work on the mother-in-law's car. Ordered the wrong part. Went back to the parts store. Out of the three parts stores, it was the only one that could order the gasket for a Kia, and they told me to be there at 2 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and take the valve cover off, get everything clean, have it just waiting on this gasket. And it wasn't there at 2 o'clock. They said it'd be there at 10 o'clock the next morning. I'm like, okay. So I go back at 10 o'clock the next morning. It's still not there. Hey, Sanji. Um, and then they said it'll be there at 3 o'clock. So I go back at 3 o'clock and Sunday, and it's not there. So I went on their website, and I'm not going to name the Autopot store. It's one of the three main ones, and it says on their website to order the part is 3 to 5 business days. So these jackbutts behind the register didn't tell me that. So I went to Amazon, ordered the same part, and it's coming
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
So that was my weekend. It was a pain in the ass, but how was your weekend,
yeah.
Richard?
Oh, I mean, I have sort of a similar story. We were looking at taking out the giant TV that was wall mounted before we bought this house, and I we you couldn't get to the so there's screws locking in place right in the bottom,
Yeah,
and you can't really get to them without like a super long screwdriver. So we went to Ace and we found this in the bargain bin section, the clear out section. They had this screwdriver set with both Phillips and flathead with like super long. It's like great, you
yeah.
know, on sale, cool. And then we get back, realize they're foam armor. We we realize that they are actually hex.
Oh, crap.
So anyway, a hacksaw and some very 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 messed up knuckles later, and we got the job done anyway.
There you go. Yeah, I understand about the boo boos. I get them all the time.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
still
It was
got scars from was it 2 weeks ago working on a car? That thing's tearing me up. But all right, that was our weekend. Anybody watching got anything interesting happening? Just go ahead and shoot it in there.
yeah.
Um,
For those that don't realize that this chapter is basically a marriage pact should be proposed. Who should we send? Littlefinger.
yeah,
That's pretty much the chapter. So we're happy to read it and notice our observations, but it's probably not going to take that long.
yeah. The Chris the Crow, his foam armor. The plan was at the beginning of the year when taxes came to get the Kingsguard armor for the next Ice and FireCon. And Lady Thistle was explaining the advantages of foam. So Chris the Crow, my son, is going to plan on doing a basic set of foam armor to practice on, and then try to create the Kingsguard out of foam. So it's cheaper, it's lighter.
Show up a little bit so I can.
Yeah, so you
All
sure?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Godzilla. So he's gonna try it in foam, and go. I'll keep you posted on here. He'll keep the Discord posted on it. But yeah, foam armor. There you go.
Okay.
So if nobody else got anything that happened on this weekend that they want to talk about, then I guess I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
This is Tyrion 8, A Clash of Kings. If you've watched any of these, you know we start with the brains of the operation, which is Richard. He will say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. So take it away,
Yes.
Richard.
This is Clash 36, Tyrion 8, as mentioned. It's the marriage pact proposal. Should be arranged. Varys stood over the brazier, warming his soft hands. It would appear Renly was murdered most fearfully in the very midst of his army. His throat was opened from ear to ear by a blade that passed through steel and bone as if they were soft cheese. Murdered by whose hands? Cersei demanded. Have you ever considered that too many answers are the same as no answer at all? Line formers are not always as highly placed as we might like. When a king dies, fancies sprout like mushrooms in the dark. A groom says that Renly was slain by a knight of his own Rainbow Guard. Okay. A washerwoman claims Stannis stole through the heart of his brother's army with his magic sword. That's pretty true. Several men at arms believe a woman did the foul deed, but cannot agree on which woman. Wow, that's very true. I can think of three candidates in a sense, right?
There you go.
A maid that Renly had spurned claims one. One of the three potentials, I suppose. A camp follower brought in to serve his pleasure on the eve of battle. Not so likely, says a second. The third ventures that it might have been the Lady Catelyn Stark. Well, that's another one of the potential three, although I think you're missing a third. Anyway, there's quite a bit of the truth in Dorcas's report here.
Yeah. The one thing I always Littlefinger, I almost guarantee is a skin changer. I always thought Varys had some powers to be able to communicate with
I'm
the
sorry,
children.
I don't know that name.
Dorcas. Yeah, if Dorcas had some kind of magical powers to be able to talk to the children, they cut some tongues out and all that stuff. And he's always spot on with information and everything. But this chapter right here, with the different information that he gives, makes me wonder: does he really have any magical powers, or is it just all smoke and mirrors and spies? So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of both, right? I think he has.
Yeah.
I think he can almost certainly at least do glamour the way he describes the things, and
Oh yeah.
he knows all the conjurer's tricks. And we've discussed this before that typically when you have somebody who hates magic in one of these fantasies, they actually are doing magic and they're hypocrites. That's pretty much the norm in these kind of stories.
Yeah, I don't put him on the same level as Littlefinger or Euron. I think
Right.
it's just simple magic, and the skin changers, green seers, would be Bran, Littlefinger, Rickon, and Euron.
Well, he knows all the conjurer's tricks, and I think that would include glamour.
Yeah, definitely. Because he got really pissed off when Shay saw through his glamour.
Right.
I mean, he was butthurt when she found out.
Yep.
Which also kind of points to Shay being more than what she is, being able to see through a glamour.
Right.
But
right.
Okay.
And we've talked before about how she seems to know pretty much everything about Oberyn and his family.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry.
The queen was not pleased. Must you waste our time with every rumor the fools care to tell? You pay me well for these rumors, my gracious queen. We pay you for the truth, Lord Varys. Remember that, or this small council may grow smaller still. Varys tittered nervously. You and your noble brother will leave his grace with no counsel at all if you continue. I dare say the realm could survive a few less counselors, said Littlefinger with a smile. Dear, dear Peter, said Varys. Are you not concerned that yours might be the next name on the hand's little list? So Dorcas knows a lie that Littlefinger told and seems as surprised as the readers that Tyrion hasn't dealt with him yet.
Yeah.
Before you, Varys? I should never dream of it. Mayhaps we will be brothers on the wall together, you and I. Varys giggled again. Sooner than you'd like if the next words out of your mouth are not something useful, eunuch. From the look of her eyes, Cersei was prepared to castrate Varys all over again. Might this be some ruse? Asked Littlefinger. If so, it is a ruse of surpassing cleverness, said Varys. It has certainly hoodwinked me. A ruse? Like when Garland pretends to be Renly's ghost? Or Theon promises to kill Bran and Rickon? Or Tywin promises to kill Gregor? Or Manderly promises to kill Davos? Or Brienne promises to kill Jaime? Or Ramsay is killed and Reek survives? Or Theon is killed and Reek survives? Or Ramsay marries Arya? Or Arstan Whitebeard joins Dany? Or Arya takes an axe to the back of the head? Or the elder brother buries Sandor? Or Rugen is Varys? Or Dorcas is Varys? Or Loras survives mortal injury? Those sort of ruses only happen in fan fiction and speculative theories and would never really happen in the series, obviously. Notice that in the cases of Theon and Four Kingsguard, Barristan, Loras, and the two Clegane brothers, they are missing or presumed dead or dying for more than an entire book. I've seen people argue that Kingsguard cannot be alive because George would not have people dead or missing for multiple books. And I have to wonder if they're reading the same books as we are.
Hey, quick side point. I know you shouted out the Company of the Cat. What is it?
Yeah.
I watched her video this morning on what's going on with Loras with the taking of Dragonstone. It's actually a really good video. I
All
highly
right.
recommend watching it.
Sounds good. Tyrion had heard enough. Joff will be so disappointed, he said. He was having such a nice spike. He was saving such a nice spike for Renly's head. But whoever did the deed, we must assume Stannis was behind it. The gain is clearly his. He did not like this news. He had counted on the brothers Baratheon decimating each other in bloody battle. He could feel his elbow throbbing where the Morning Star had laid it open. It did that sometimes in the damp. He squeezed it uselessly in his hand and asked, "What of Renly's host? Oh, and that reminds me, I left one out. Tyreek Lannister has been gone for a long time, and George keeps hinting at him again and again. And I think of this because we're being asked, whoever did the deed, we must assume Stannis was behind it. The gain is clearly his, right? And it reminds me of the Dragon Demands video about the riots and Tyreek Lannister, right?
Yeah.
Which is one of the greatest videos out there on these topics. And anyway, the point being, I just like, hey, wait, there's another one that's missing many books. Anyway, but George would never have people missing from many books. That doesn't happen in this story. That only happens in speculative theories and fan fiction.
Yeah, which anyway. That does make me worry about how long Jon is going to be dead before he gets resurrected. It might be at the end of damn Winds of Winter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, I think LML credits Radio Westeros, I think, with saying that there'll be an empty tomb, and that would match the Gospels, right? So all four Gospels, the one thing that they have in common, they have different witnesses of the empty tomb, but Mary Magdalene is always there, and Melisandre of Ashai, Mary Magdalene is not a family name; it's Mary of Magdalene, actually, is basically the name. So
right.
So he's added a female point of view to be at the wall. Right, we've got some of the better analysts out there claiming that Jon's body's going to be missing. There's going to be an empty tomb, right? So it would make a lot of sense that she's supposed to be our Mary Magdalene character who witnesses the empty tomb.
There you go.
The greater part of his foot remains at Bitterbridge. Varys abandoned the brazier to take his seat at the table. Most of the lords who rode with Lord Renly to Storm's End have gone over banner and blade to Stannis with all their chivalry. Led by the Florence, I'd wager, said Littlefinger. Varys gave him a simpering smile. You would win, my lord. Lord Alliser was indeed the first to bend the knee. Many others followed. Many, Tyrion said pointedly, but not all? Not all, agreed the eunuch. Not Loras Tyrell, nor Randall Tarley, nor Mathis Rowan. And Storm's End itself has not yielded. Sir Courtenay Penrose holds the castle in Renly's name and will not believe his liege is dead. He demands to see the mortal remains before he opens his gates, but it seems that Renly's corpse has unaccountably vanished, carried away most likely. A fifth of Renly's knights departed with Sir Loras rather than bend the knee to Stannis. It's said the Knight of Flowers went mad when he saw his king's body and slew 3 of Renly's guards in his wrath, among them Emmon Kai, I guess, I don't know, and Robar Royce. For more on the Queenslayer's killing of Robar Royce, see Triplet Targaryen episode 6.
Do with the shirt. The disappearance of the body.
Right, and look at how he just feeds right into Renly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, sorry, to Loras. Right. Yeah. Carried away, most likely, a fifth of Renly's knights departed with Sir Loras. Right. So it sort of just carries you right into the Loras took it. Right. Yeah. Lizzie also said, "Do with the shirt."
Which, I mean, a little tenfold. All right. Charles, the heir to House Tyrell. There you go.
You cosplay as me as well.
The Charles, the heir for the House Tyrell. He pointed out that in House Tyrell, the lord that went over the cliff on his horse was probably skin changing his eagle. I think it was an eagle at the time when he was out hunting with the eagle. He was in the eagle flying, and the zombie-ish body on the horse wasn't paying attention, and the horse went off the cliff. So there's magical properties in House Tyrell potentially. Could, in a fit of grief, Loris kiss Renly and accidentally breathe the breath of life or fire or whatever it is into Renly's body? It's
Okay.
really simple. It's out there, but I mean, sorry. That's,
I mean, he buried him, so I don't think that would go very well.
well, he says he buried him, but I mean, we
Okay,
don't
now
see
you're
we
getting
don't see the
a little
grave.
weird
Anytime you don't
out
see
there.
something in George's book, my brain tends
I
to
think
wonder.
I think if he had a resurrected Renly, he would have been trying to crown him.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's out there. I told you. Sorry.
Yep. All right. A pity he stopped at 3, thought Tyrion. Sir Loras is likely making for Bitterbridge, Varys went on. His sister is there, Renly's queen, as well as a great many soldiers who suddenly find themselves kingless. Which side will they take now? A ticklish question. Many served the lords who remained at Storm's End, and those lords now belong to Stannis. Syrio's alive. The truth is out there. Well, that one actually seems quite likely.
Yeah.
Tyrion leaned forward. There's a chance here, it seems to me. Win Loras Tyrell to our cause, and Lord Mace Tyrell and his bannermen might join us as well. They may have sworn their swords to Stannis for the moment, yet they cannot love the man, or they would not have been his, or they would have been his from the start. Is their love for us any greater? Asked Cersei. Scarcely, said Tyrion. They love Renly, clearly, but Renly is slain. Perhaps we can give them good and sufficient reasons to prefer Joffrey to Stannis, if we move quickly. What sort of reasons do you mean to give them? Gold reasons, Littlefinger suggested at once. Varys made a tisking sound. Sweet Peter, surely you do not mean to suggest that these poisoned lords and noble knights could be bought like so many chickens in the market. Have you been to our markets of late, Lord Varys? Asked Littlefinger. You'd find it easier to buy a lord than a chicken, I dare say. Of course, lords cluck prouder than chickens and take it ill if you offer them coin like a tradesman, but they are seldom averse to taking gifts, honors, lands, castles. Bribes might sway some of the lesser lords, Tyrion said, but never Highgarden. True, Littlefinger admitted. The Knight of Flowers is the key there. Mace Tyrell has 2 older sons, but Loras has always been his favorite. Win him and Highgarden will be yours. Yes, Tyrion thought. It seems to me we should take a lesson from the late Lord Renly. We can win the Tyrell alliance as he did, with a marriage. Varys understood the quickest. You think to wed King Joffrey to Marjorie Tyrell. So Dorcas is implied to be the smartest here, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I do. Renly's young queen was no more than 15, 16, he seemed to recall. Older than Joffrey, but a few years were nothing. It was so neat and sweet he could taste it. 15, 16 are near enough? Oh, sorry. Siege of the Targaryens, episode 3. Anyway, it is Tyrion, and he's thinking pretty much the same thing that he thinks twice in the dance, right? Joffrey is betrothed to Sansa Stark, Cersei objected. Marriage contracts can be broken. What advantage is there in wedding the king to the daughter of a dead traitor? The man whose father insists he marry the key to the north fails to see value in a marriage to the key to the north.
Yep.
Although I guess at this point he doesn't know that Bran and Rickon are believed dead.
Right. Well, at this point, the pressing matter would be to get the Tyrell forces added to King's Landing, not to mention the bringing of the food. So I can see why Tyrells would be more important than Starks at the current
right.
time.
And like I said, at this point, she's fourth in line as far as he knows, right? So
yeah.
Littlefinger spoke up. You might point out to his grace that the Tyrells are much wealthier than the Starks, and that Marjorie is said to be lovely and bettable besides. Yes, said Tyrion. Joff ought to like that well enough. My son is too young to care about such things. You think so? Asked Tyrion. He's 13, Cersei, the same age at which I married. You shamed us all with that sorry episode. Joffrey is made of finer stuff. So fine that he had Sir Boris rip off Sansa's gown? He was angry with the girl. He was angry with that cook's boy who spilled the soup last night as well, but he didn't strip him naked. This was not a matter of some spilled soup. So I don't know. Tyrion may have a point here, and I also think it's interesting that he's talking openly about his marriage in front of Varys and Littlefinger.
Right.
and acting like everybody already knows. So maybe it's not as much of a clue that Braun or Shay were feeding Littlefinger information as I thought it was, because maybe this is more of an open secret than I realized.
Well, chances are those two people would know anyways.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying it may not actually be that big. I always thought it was a clue that that the only people that he told were Braun and Shay, but he talks about it openly, so it's not really a secret.
Right. Also, in this encounter, Cersei is extremely clueless on the small council to everything. Basically, I mean, she has no understanding of Joff. I mean, she sits there and
Right.
tries to undermine the conversation and the direction it's going from the get go. So sorry.
No, absolutely. No, it was a matter of some pretty teats. After that business in the yard, Tyrion had spoken with Varys about how they might arrange for Joffrey to visit Chatea's. A taste of honey might sweeten the boy, he hoped. He might even be grateful, gods forbid, and Tyrion could do with a shade more gratitude from his sovereign. It would need to be done secretly, of course. The tricky bit would be parting him from the hound. The dog is never far from his master's heels, he'd observed to Varys. But all men sleep, and some gamble and whore and visit wine sinks as well. The hound does all these things, if that is your question. No, said Tyrion. My question is when. Varys had laid a finger on his cheek, smiling enigmatically. My lord, a suspicious man might think you wish to find a time when Sandor Clegane was not protecting King Joffrey, the better to do the boy some harm. Surely you know me better than that, Lord Varys, Tyrion said. Why, all I want is for Joffrey to love me.
Mm-hmm.
The eunuch had promised to look into the matter. The war made its own demands, though. Joffrey's initiation into manhood would need to wait. Doubtless you know your son better than I do, he made himself tell Cersei. But regardless, there's still much to be said for a Tyrell marriage. It may be the only way that Joffrey lives long enough to reach his wedding night. And we're not going to comment on the show's take on this little aside.
Yeah.
Littlefinger agreed. The Stark girl brings Joffrey nothing but her body, sweet as that may be. Marjorie Tyrell brings 50,000 swords and all the strength of Highgarden. Indeed, Varys laid a soft hand on the queen's sleeve. You have a mother's heart, and I know his grace loves his little sweetling. Yet kings must learn to put the needs of the realm before their own desires. I said this offer must be made. The queen pulled free of the eunuch's touch. You would not speak so if you were women. Say what you will, my lords, but Joffrey is too proud to settle for Renly's leavings. He will never consent. There actually are a lot of times when there'd be irony if Varys was a woman, and some of it may just be foreshadowing that he always intended to have it be Dorcas or someone like that.
Yeah. What did Lizzie say?
Taste of hemlock might sweeten the boy. Joffrey was the queen pulled free. We did that already. Would I say he will never consent? I think I already said that part, right?
Tyrion shrugged.
Oh, no, I'm just making sure that I actually did read the rest of that paragraph before we move on. Okay. Yeah. Tyrion shrugged. When the king comes of age in 3 years, he may give or withhold his consent as he pleases. Until then, you are his regent and I am his hand, and he will marry whomever we tell him to marry, leavings or no. Cersei's quiver was empty. Make your offer then, but God save you all if Joff does not like this girl. I'm so pleased we can agree, Tyrion said. Now, which of us shall go to Bitterbridge? We must reach Sir Loras with our offer before his blood can cool. You mean to send one of the council? I can scarcely expect the Knight of Flowers to treat with Braun or Shagga, can I? The Tyrells are proud. His sister wasted no time trying to twist the situation to her advantage. Sir Jocelyn Bywater is nobly born. Send him. Tyrion shook his head. We need someone who can do more than repeat our words and fetch back a reply. Our envoy must speak for king and council and settle the matter quickly. The hand speaks with the king's voice. Candlelight gleamed green as wildfire in Cersei's eyes. If we send you, Tyrion, it will be as if Joffrey went himself. And who better? You wield words as skillfully as Jaime wields a sword. And right there was a quote from Triplet Targaryens, episode 5.
There you go.
Are you that eager to get me out of the city, Cersei? You are too kind, sister, but it seems to me that a boy's mother is better fitted to arrange his marriage than any uncle. And you have a gift for winning friends that I could never hope to match. Her eyes narrowed. Joff needs me at his side. Your grace, my lord Hand, said Littlefinger, the king needs both of you here. Let me go in your stead. You? What gain does he see in this? Tyrion wondered. I am of the king's council, yet not the king's blood, so I'd make a poor hostage. I knew Sir Loras passing well when he was here at court. gave him no cause to mislike me. Mace Tyrell bears me no enmity that I know of, and I flatter myself that I am not unskilled in negotiation. 4! I stepped away earlier, but I don't think I didn't hear it. He has us. Tyrion did not trust Peter Baelish, but he did not. But did he want the man out of his? Nor did he want the man out of his sight. Yet what other choice was left him? It must be Littlefinger or Tyrion himself, and he knew full well that if he left King's Landing for any length of time, all that he had managed to accomplish would be undone. There is fighting between here and Bitterbridge, he said cautiously, and you can be past certain that Lord Stannis will be dispatching his own shepherds to gather in his brother's wayward lambs. I've never been frightened of shepherds. It's the sheep who trouble me. Still, I suppose an escort might be in order. I can spare 100 gold cloaks, Tyrion said. 500, 300, and 40 more. 20 knights and with as many squires. If I arrive without a knightly tale, the Tyrells will think me of small account. That was true enough. Agreed. I'll include Horror and Slobber in my party and send them on to their lord father afterward. A gesture of goodwill. We need Paxter Redwine. He's Mace Tyrell's oldest friend, and a great power in his own right. And a traitor, the queen said, balking. The arbor would have declared for Renly with all the rest, except that Redwine knew full well his whelps would suffer for it. Renly is dead, your grace, Littlefinger pointed out, and neither Stannis nor Lord Paxter will have forgotten how Redwine galleys closed the sea during the siege of Storm's Head. Restore the twins, and perchance we may win Redwine's love. Cersei remained unconvinced. The others can keep his love. I want his swords and sails. Holding tight to those twins is the best way to make certain that we'll have them. Tyrion had the answer. Then let us send Sir Hobber back to the arbor and keep Sir Horace here. Lord Paxter ought to be clever enough to riddle out the meaning of that, I should think. The suggestion was carried without protest, but Littlefinger was not done. We'll want horses, swift and strong. The fighting will make remounts hard to come by. A goodly supply of gold will also be needed for those gifts we spoke of earlier. Take as much as you require. If the city falls, Stannis will steal it all anyway. Is he going to have 300 gold cloaks on horseback? I guess so. That's a lot of horses.
Yeah.
300 plus the, 20 knights and 20 squires.
The knights come with their own horses, but the gold cloaks have to be given horses.
Right.
And it has to be gold cloaks that know how to ride.
Yep. I'll want my commission in writing. A document that will leave Mace Tyrell in no doubt as to my authority, granting me full power to treat with him concerning this match and any other arrangements that might be required, and to make binding pledges in the king's name. It should be signed by Joffrey and every member of this council and bear all our seals. Tyrion shifted uncomfortably. Done. Will that be all? I remind you, there's a long road between here and Bitterbridge. I'll be riding it before dawn breaks, Littlefinger rose. I trust that on my return, the king will see that I am suitably rewarded for my valiant efforts in his cause. Varys giggled. Joffrey is such a grateful sovereign. I'm certain you'll have no cause to complain, my good brave lord. The queen was more direct. What do you want, Peter? Littlefinger glanced at Tyrion with a sly smile. I shall need to give that some consideration. No doubt I'll think of something. He sketched an airy bow and took his leave as casual as if he were off to one of his brothels. Littlefinger already has his eye on Harrenhal. Or actually, Tyrion put his eye on Harrenhal.
Yeah.
Tyrion glanced out the window. The fog was so thick that he could not even see the curtain wall across the yard. A few dim lights shone indistinct through that grayness. A foul day for travel, he thought. He did not envy Peter Baelish. We had best see to drawing up those documents. Lord Varys, send for parchment and quill, and someone will need to wake Joffrey. Tyrion doesn't envy Peter yet.
Yeah.
Also, it's interesting that he calls him, that he actually calls him Peter there, right? Because it's just in his thoughts. But now that he's dispatched him as his envoy, he seems like he kind of thinks more highly of him here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was still gray and dark when the meeting finally ended. Varys scurried off alone, his soft slippers whisking along the floor. The Lannisters lingered a moment by the door. How comes your chain, brother? The queen asked as Sir Preston fastened a Veroline cloth of silver cloak about her shoulders. Littlefinger gets his claws deep this chapter. Damn. Yeah, especially when you once you realize that it's possible that he's literally setting up the bread riots as he's getting ready to leave.
Oh yes.
Link by link, it grows longer. We should thank the gods that Sir Courtney Penrose is as stubborn as he is. Stannis will never march north with Storm's End untaken in his rear. Tyrion, I know we do not always agree on policy, but it seems to me that I was wrong about you. You are not so big a fool as I imagined. In truth, I realize now that you have been a great help. For that, I thank you. You must forgive me if I have spoken to you harshly in the past. Must I? He gave her a shrug and smile. Sweet sister, you said nothing that requires forgiveness. Today, you mean? They both laughed, and Cersei leaned over and planted a quick, soft kiss on his brow. Too astonished for words, Tyrion could only watch her stride off down the hall, Sir Preston at her side. Have I lost my wits? Or did my sister just kiss me? He asked Braun when she was gone. Was it so sweet? It was unanticipated. Cersei had been behaving queerly of late. Tyrion found it very unsettling. I tried to recall the last time she kissed me. I could not have been more than 6 or 7. Jaime had dared her to do it. The woman's finally taken note of your charms. No, Tyrion said. No, the woman is hatching something. Best find out what, Braun. You know I hate surprises. Poor Alayaya.
Yep.
And Chris the Crow says, love Penrose. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, this is one of our big 3 parallels between Stannis and Aerys, right? That he's going to send his fire sorcerer advisor to use their magic to kill a man, an honorable man expecting to fight a champion.
Yeah. Speaking of Penrose, on the Company of the Cats video about Sir Loras and what may have befell him when he went to Dragonstone, Arian Waters, the master of ships, relays the information that he was shot in the leg and the shoulder from a bolt from
Crossbow.
Yeah, crossbow. All right. For some reason, my brain went dark. And he suffered some broken ribs and was covered with boiling oil. But
Right.
Dragonstone fell in a day, and the Arbor's forces on the ship left to go deal with the Ironborn.
Right, and it's supposed to
Normally,
be a parallel to Sir Lewin, right? And the fact that the whole everyone thing is right. It's supposed to be, he sort of has the same fate befalling him, and of course, I think we both believe that Sir Lewin and Loras are both going to be miraculously alive later.
that's what she was saying. And with George, when you get information, especially like earlier in this chapter, when you got all the different things that could possibly have happened to Renly, you got to kind of read between the lines. And she pointed out that the Castellan is a Sir something a devout follower of the warrior and extremely capable fighter. If Sir Loras, the Sir Loras had offered battle, the one-on-one battle, and the Castellan refused it, which she pointed out is against his character. And for the Dragonstone to fall in one day, say there was a fight between Sir Loras and the Castellan, the Castellan would have lost. She didn't talk about this, but this is what I got out of it. If the Castellan lost, but still was able to break some of the ribs of Sir Loras, Dragonstone would have fell right then and there. He'd have gave up the castle,
Right.
and then the crossbow bolts and the oil is just smoke and mirrors. And then Sir Loras is possibly the hidden gem of Queen Marjorie's defender in the trial with the faith. She names her older brother was Sir Garwin.
Garland,
Yeah, Sir Garland as her
she's not
champion.
allowed. She's not allowed.
She's not allowed. It's going to have to be a Kingsguard.
Right.
And right
Well, it's
now
too
they're
bad because Garland's better than any of the Kingsguard, including Loras, and Loras knows it and says he's way better than me,
yeah,
basically. But
yeah, he's
yeah,
better with a sword.
yeah,
Loris is better with a
yeah.
lance.
I'm better. I'm better jouster. He's right. It's the same thing as we hear from John and Rob,
John,
right?
yeah, right. Rob's a better lance, and John's a better sword. So if she's going to have a Kingsguard defend her, right now she has um, Robert Strong, the Mountain, which Cersei's not going to let the Mountain defend her, and then the other guy is like clinging to life. I forget who it is. Blunt, I believe. Uh, so the hidden gem is Soloris is not in mortal peril from the oil and the crossbows. He's going to show up to be Marjorie's champion. What did Lizzie say?
Lizzie, the answer is yes, because Cersei actually says this to her. Has she been anointed queen? Does it make a difference as far as who can be her champion? Um, Probably not. Well, I mean, we know that Cersei's already explained to her that her only choice is like Boris Blunt, basically,
Yeah.
right? And um, so she's never going to have heard of Robert Strong and be aware that they've appointed another Kingsguard. So she thinks that her only choice is
Right.
Boris. But
So I
but
believe in
your point is
company.
Loras can
Yeah.
show back up and yeah.
Yeah. And even a slightly wounded Soloris is probably going to be able to defeat whoever the Faith puts forward as their champion. Which
No,
would
I
be
don't know if George has made up his mind or not, but some people argue that Loras having burns could be a parallel to the Hound, right? So the boiling oil could have burned half his face. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Must have blocked it out. Lame. Bring back Loras.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, so whether George has made up his mind or not, I don't know, but some people think that he's intending Loras to be like the Hound, right, and come back and look like the Hound,
Slightly burned.
burned off half his face, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if he's made up his mind, but he probably thinks he could go either way with it, which I think he
Well,
could.
I mean, she points it out the same as you do. The ambiguity that George likes to leave things.
Yep.
He's not sure what he wants to do with Sir Loras.
Right.
But if you get all the different tales of what possibly could have happened to Loras, it gives him options as to, okay, no, he wasn't shot with a crossbow, but yeah, he was dumped with oil. Well, I mean,
well, and I still think there's way more clues about him being the Valonqar than about Jaime, and that those are the two most logical.
Yeah. But is he? Well, I mean, I guess he would be the little brother because he's got two older brothers.
Well, no, he's the little brother because he's the little Kingsguard. Okay. The Kingsguard are the royal family's brothers, right?
Brothers. Yeah.
And it's the little brother. It's not the less little of two little brothers. It's the word "the" means one of one. So there should be a group of brothers with one little member, right?
Right.
And claiming that Tyrion and Jaime are two, well, if that's the case, then and that they're both equally little as younger brothers of Cersei, if that's your logic, then neither of them is the little brother, right?
Yeah.
Because if the logic is that she has two. Yes, Loras Valonqar.
Anyway, I think we all agree on that one.
Yeah, it's amazing how much I think I know I've told the story before, but I actually sat down and tried to write out why Jaime is still the Valonqar, even though all the signs point to Loras. And it was the dumbest thing I'd ever written. I just deleted it when I was done. I was like, this is so stupid. Loras is clearly the Valonqar.
I would love to have read that.
It's like even though this and this and this and I was like, no, this is dumb. Ravel, Loras. Anyway,
that's pretty good.
Up next, Clash 37, Theon 3. Dagmar Cleftjaw cannot take Torrhen Square because it will never fall. Will it? Anyway, I still love Dagmar Cleftjaw and his story. Well, first off, Dagmar is clearly a parallel to the Blackfish.
Yeah.
Also, while we're here, Brienne Queen. All right, I like that too. Yeah. Brienne the Beauty, right? It doesn't technically say queen. It says you will be queen for a time until one comes along younger and more beautiful or whatever, right? And so
Yeah.
Brienne the Beauty being the more beautiful is certainly something I
Yeah.
like
I
to think
mean,
of.
you automatically think beautiful on the outside,
Right.
but George it's just like the small paw at the wall, and giant being the exact opposite of what they are. The beauty
Another.
being on the inside, which is a
This sounds like tinfoil to me, only on third read, but y'all won't convince me, I'm sure.
we will do our best, Sanji. It's edgy, dark.
Yep, yep.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I like.
We got you. I'll get your tinfoil hat. One of us. One of us.
Yep, yep. I'm gonna line the inside of this hat with tinfoil. I mean, I love some tinfoil. Well, I mean,
I think Dagmar is under appreciated in the fandom. He's because it feels like everybody loves the Blackfish, and I don't hear that same love for Dagmar, and I feel like Dagmar deserves that same respect and love. I love the fact that when Theon is coming, he thinks to himself, maybe my parents will be there to greet me, or maybe even Dagmar Cleftjaw, right? It's like,
yeah,
it's like, and then the fact that in this next chapter, Dagmar is basically like, well, we know that's impossible. But then he goes and does it, and he holds it the entire rest of through book 5.
right. I mean, yeah, he definitely gives off Blackfish vibes.
Oh yeah,
Victorian.
yeah.
Victorian
He's the
also
uncle.
seems to. Yeah.
He's the uncle who's loyal to the person that the Baratheon Stark alliance stole, right?
Right.
He's the uncle of the person who was taken and forced against their will to go, in one case as a marriage alliance, and in the other case as a ward or hostage, right? So,
right.
So he's the uncle that's still loyal, and
yeah.
Anyway,
well, I get Blackfish vibes from Victorian.
Oh, absolutely.
Too. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, again, he's an uncle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Got anything else? I know
I think that's plenty.
Rambled a little bit.
We managed to make it reasonably long here for this for a tiny little chapter of one event.
It was either that or a 10-minute live stream. So rambling today was.
I like this better, definitely.
Yeah. All right. We will see you Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel with Theon 3 Clash of Kings. I appreciate everybody joining in. Lady Thistle, Lizzie, Sanji. I know Charles is out there. James is out there. That Valencar is out there. We do appreciate it. We will see y'all Wednesday. And thank you.
Sounds good.
Take it easy. Bye, Richard.
You too.